Okay. Yikes! All right, we won't go that long, but I wanted to show you how powerful I am.
Somebody's a control freak. Hey, everybody, welcome again. It's Wednesday night. It's time for TMI. I'm sorry, are you shitting me, TMI, the podcast? And I cannot tell you guys how happy I am to have my brother Mike, as usual. Love you, Mike. And also tonight we have our cousin Matt Rogers. Matt, welcome. Love to have you on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Welcome, bro, cuz.
Hey, good to be here.
All right.
So Matt's getting Matt got indoctrinated into how we start our show off and all the bullshit we talk about before we actually go on live. But we do kind of have a small agenda. I did want to talk about sports then and now. So I'm going to jump right into it. My thing really started was I got to starting talking about basketball, and I started thinking about how the shorts were back in the day. Mike, if you could post up a picture for me of shorts. Now that there, folks, is the baddest white man to ever play the game. That is a guy named Larry Bird from French Lick, Indiana. All you young folks, look that up. Bad guy. But as you can tell, his booty was a little hungry because he's eating his shorts. So let's switch to
Magic doesn't look much better.
Oh, well, yeah.
Look at that. How did we wear shorts that small? What was up?
So if we look at shorts in today, look at that.
Hey, look at that crap.
I mean, it's like having a damn skirt.
I'm thinking, no, don't hurt him, Hammer.
Can't touch it.
But you're absolutely right. Wow, I didn't even think about that. But look at that. I mean, then, now. Yeah. Well, which would you wear? Would you rather go back to these?
Oh, dude, I don't have the ass nor the legs to wear booty shorts like that. Sorry.
Right.
For both, you know, between.
I do want to say, Matt, happy birthday. He recently joined the 55 and older club. So welcome to the club. It's a small but illustrious club, and happy birthday, my friend.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
My knee
can feel it. I can't play sports like I used to at 55.
None of us can, dude. Welcome to our world.
Yeah.
Not a fucking time.
Yeah, because he's so much younger than I am.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. I'm glad you both are, the 55 and over club, because it's just painful when you're attending events and people say, well, Michael's the oldest of the cousins. Why don't we get him to get it? Really? Why can't I just be the cousin or just one of the cousins? How come I have to be the oldest of the group?
So, I'm the youngest.
Yeah,
you are. That's truth right there. Matt is the youngest
by about 2 months.
Yep.
Are you guys that close?
2 months.
We are. Yep.
Wow.
Yeah,
so So told you, Matt, there was you hit the fork in the road. Yeah. I mean,
but I do want to ask, because I have Matt here, and I know Matt's a big sports guy, just like we are. So Matt, give me some of the things you remember as a younger man in sports. I don't care what it is, football, baseball, soccer, it doesn't matter. But just some of the things that you can remember back in the day, whether it was a sport you watched or a sport you played, that's just entirely different in today's day and age.
Yeah, I've given this some thought, and I think really we kind of touched on it before we came on, but I think the reason why people play has kind of shifted from back in the 80s. It used to be the love of the game, and don't get me wrong, I'm sure money had a lot to do with it back then as well. But I think now, and it doesn't matter what sport, it's driven by the almighty dollar drives a lot of things, and it's more maybe less passion at the pro level, and that's why I like college sports.
Agreed.
because
I
those
agree.
kids go out there and they put it on their line because, and maybe they're trying to get to the pros for that money.
So where
but
do you put, based on that one then, what's your view on NIL?
And I personally like NIL because why not let those young athletes that can't even afford to go to Taco Bell get some revenue while the schools are getting rich off of their likeness. So I kind of like I
agree. I've said for years that there has to be some sort of a stipend for that college athlete, since they're putting the butts in the seats and that generates revenue. My concern, and in fact, I saw there was a ruling came down just a little bit ago concerning NIL, and my concern was twofold. This ruling is going to take care of one of them. It is, and that's putting a rein on unscrupulous agents that are just there to try to take advantage of these, 17, 18, 19-year-old kids. But I also see where they may have to reach a point where there's a max. There's got to be a ceiling on how much of the NIL money they get. Because, some of these people, like the swimmer from LSU comes to mind. There were a couple other, I think, gymnasts in Florida that are already multimillionaires.
Yeah.
And it's not because of anything to do with their sport. It has to do with what they're able to generate with NIL. So I can see, I'm all for it. I would like to see some sort of a ceiling, a cap, if you will, as the maximum amount that they can earn. But you're right. I mean, before NIL came along, you did have athletes that were, putting the asses in the seats, generating TV revenue, and they were getting squat.
Mm-hmm.
I'm for that. So there's my part of that speech.
Yeah, but I agree. And the thing with that is, especially with college students or younger students, is that money has the propensity to cause bigger issues. And when you're that age, if you don't have somebody, like you said, Mike, governing or having some sort of a cap on that, I mean, it could cause just as much damage as it could good.
Well, look, man, if you think about it this way, what a great starting point, because for many years we had this problem of this star athlete coming out of a college program. Suddenly they're playing in pros. It didn't matter what the sport is. And now they're millionaires and they have no earthly clue what to do with the money.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They have no common sense.
Yeah. So if this does nothing, at least it's preparatory to them getting the bigger contracts when they get to the pros, and better prepared for it, and they can plan for the future.
So let me ask you guys this. Do you know of any, because Matt, you and I didn't finish high school, but went to the same schools, but do you remember anybody from our school that made it in sports? Wasn't there a kid named Warren something or other, played football? I could have swore he went to play pro.
Not off the top of my head. I know there's people in the Springs area. Carlson, the field goal kicker for the Raiders. I hate to say that name out loud. But he's from Colorado Springs and went to a school here. So
okay.
And I believe it's Reggie Jackson in the NBA went to like Mesa Ridge or something here in the Springs, but not from our time. Do I remember anybody making it to the
one of my favorite sayings, and I tried to find it before the podcast and I couldn't find it, but I remember watching it. But Jim Brown had made a comment one time where he said, I couldn't play in today's NFL because back in the day, my job was to hurt you and put you out of the game.
Yeah.
Nowadays it's like, it's one of this, watch, it's like, oh, his arm went by me. Oh, it's like, and that's why, I mean, I almost to the point where I hate watching NFL anymore, because it's just a bunch of fucking crybabies that just want to whine about everything.
Yep.
And and like I said, back in the day, and we all watched it back in the day. I mean, watching guys like, hate to say the Raiders again, but like watching guys like Lyle Alzado or Ed Too Tall Jones or any of these big, beefy defensive guys or running backs just mowing people over head first. And nowadays, everything's a fucking penalty.
Yeah.
Do this, and for those that are watching now or might hop on later, do this. Go and find some pictures from, I don't care, 60s to 70s, early 80s. Look at the uniforms, look at the equipment, and then go look at what they're wearing today.
Yeah.
I mean, if you go back to, okay, my time, if you will, the shoulder pads, I mean, they're like up here. You can, then you had the neck roll, and
roll.
And so you look now, and I'm, when I see what they wear today, I don't know if you guys have seen, what is it? A Knight's Tale.
A Knight's Tale, yeah, with the armor.
Yeah, and the armorer, and he says, I'm going to get
They're all
killed.
making fun of him and laughing at him when he comes out.
They're all going to try it first. And so that's where my mind goes to. I go, that's what the new uniforms, that's what the new pads are like. And then to go back to our day, we were talking before we went live, one of the best pictures that I can think of that really sort of defines what would be like maybe the latter stages of my era in sports. So I'd been, young at the time. Find a picture of Len Dawson sitting on the sidelines of Kansas City. He was the quarterback for the Chiefs. Find that picture and tell me what he's doing. He's dirty as hell. He's filthy. He's got the helmet off. And what's he doing, guys? He's smoking a cigarette. He's just smoking. You'll see the guys drinking beer on the side, chawing, they're eating. Today, and I'm not saying that was right. I'm just saying that was a time when
a different time.
The money, they weren't really look, if it was all about the money, for them back then, I get it. But can I tell you who sold Carolyn and I our first brand new car? Did I ever told you guys this?
No.
Speaking of football, it was a guy by the name of Rich Carlos.
Oh, jeez.
Because contracts, when this is in the very early 80s, early 82, 83, 84. This was at a time when they didn't have all this, money and contracts and shit.
Right.
A lot of the players had to do what? They had to find off-season jobs.
Sure.
So Carlos came to Colorado Springs and worked at Phil Long Ford.
Wow.
And, also did some free TV for him. But yeah, Carlos sold us our first new car.
Wow.
A little beat up bean can Ford Escort.
And now these guys are making, $100 million contracts and still complaining.
Seriously? Yeah. Wow. Really? I'm trying to figure out how to fucking eat tomorrow. And you're going, that's about 0.5 million short of what I really wanted. Sorry, dude. Don't get me started. And I just spit all over myself.
Ugh, he's salivating.
Money. Oh, anyway. All right. There you go.
So if anybody's on there live with us, hi, Carolyn, I see you there. And if anybody else is on live with us, if you have any, past.
Well, there's at least 6 people there.
Past sporting information, I would love to hear it. Even hey, let's talk about even back in the day. I'm a huge UFC fan. I never miss a UFC fight. But I could take this back. UFC's been around for 30 years now. I don't know if you guys know that or not, but I remember going back to when back then you had one of the most famous fights was Royce Gracie fought. I can't remember the dude's name. Big Korean, Samoan, Japanese guy, samurai dude, whatever he was. But Royce Gracie was like 185 pounds. This cat was like 340 pounds, and Royce won the fight. But nowadays everything is starting to be a little more leveled out. Now I'm going to go off on I have no sporting information. Matt, that's all you, buddy. So I'm going to go off on a bit of a rant right now, talking about today's sports.
We need to have a sounder for that.
Yeah.
On those rants.
Yeah. So did you see that now? I think it's in boxing. They're talking about, and I hate to bring this up, but I'm so sorry.
Do it.
They're talking about having men fighting in women's boxing.
Do it.
And I'm like,
are you talking about on my show today, bro?
Are you kidding me? I'm sorry. Look, man, I'm not the biggest, baddest dude in the world, but I could probably beat up most chicks. I would hope so. So to put these guys in a professional ring in a professional boxing match is fucking stupid.
Here's God, I have goosebumps, man. I have a friend here in town. His name is Jody Paredes. Jody is a professional cut man. He's a corner guy. And so he's worked big fights. He's also worked for, he's done some work with the United States Training, the Olympic Center there in Colorado Springs. So I had him on the show today because I saw that story a couple of weeks ago. And I thought, dude, I need to talk about this. So he was like, dude, you scare me. Because Jody, that's what we talked about today. And it's USA Boxing. USA Boxing sanctions and governs all amateur boxing. All right. And but here's the caveat to that, though, is at least, and I'm not saying this is at all right, but at least USA Boxing built into this new rule for this year that the trans woman has to have undergone complete reassignment surgery. Then they're going to undergo, it's a testosterone level, but it's referred to as something else, but they have to fall down to a certain level. And they get monitored for like 4 years. So at least, and that's why I told Jody, I said, look, at least I can't say that I like it, but at least they built that into it. But there's a group called Athlete Ally. And this is, and again, we're not going to go political, we'll keep it sports, but there's a group called Athlete Ally that actually issued a statement after the USA Boxing deal. And they said, look, we're happy, we're glad that USA Boxing did what they did, but we're not crazy about the surgery part of it. What they really want is they really want for the just trans without the reassignment surgery, binary. And what they want is this group wants people that wake up tomorrow and say, fuck it, I want to go fight a woman. So today I'm a woman. That's what they're fighting for. They're fighting for that right. And that one,
Wow.
that's my problem.
Well, I'm going to wake up tomorrow and be a millionaire. Let's see how well that works out for me.
I've always thought, what if I just get up
Me too.
tomorrow and identify as, the creator of the universe, and you all need to bow down to me and everything is now mine.
I'm a sneaky snake.
I have to
I'm a slippery, sneaky snake.
I don't
stop
know.
it. Stop
Go ahead,
it.
Matt.
But back onto what you were saying about the UFC, Joe Rogan on his podcast has this quite a bit, and he talks about and he's 100% against it. I think even with the testosterone levels, because the muscle mass, the bone.
I was going to say, I didn't want to cut Mike off, but I'll cut you off.
They're still at a competitive advantage.
Yeah, they're look. It's
regardless
like
of the
you're talking
hormones.
apples to apples, oranges to oranges. It's not going to be compatible. I'm sorry.
That's why I agree, guys. That's why I can't go totally in with it. At least they made the effort, but the way, and you nailed it, bro, cuz the way that Jody put it today, he says, hey, look, Michael J., the problem is, okay, they go through the surgery, they're getting monitored, but you're always, and Matt nailed it, you're always up against muscle mass and bone density. They're still basically the body of men.
Yep.
So that's
you can ask a simple question. Like I could ask either one of you guys. Like Matt, I'll ask you. Would you get in the ring and fight a woman that was your size and your weight?
Would I?
Yeah.
Is there money?
I was going
just right. but that's actually a good point, because that's all this is about.
Yep.
It's about money.
I would. I mean,
but I mean, if some chick came up to you, and said, "I'm going to kick your ass," you as a man would have enough common sense to be, well, you know what? Okay, whatever, and probably back off, because I know I would. I'm not going to punch a woman.
No.
So in the way I look at it is, if you're a man and you're going to get into a ring with a woman or vice versa, I don't know, man, I'm just old, I guess. And it's just something that I can't be sold on at the moment. And I probably won't be for a long time.
Well, here's where I left Jody with today is, look, live your life. I don't give a shit. I really don't. As long as you're not trying to force it on me, I don't care.
Yep.
But my caveat to that statement is, when you start bitching and moaning and complaining that you don't get to get in a ring with another woman, though you're a biological male, or you're racing against women as a biological male in bikes, weightlifting, swimming, whatever it is. And if that's what you want, then why don't you just not man up, but why don't you just toughen up? Why doesn't somebody wise up and go start a fucking trans sports league or trans,
Amen.
just move to it? But they won't do that because then they have to go against themselves, and nobody wants to measure themselves.
I'm going to put it in perspective for you, and don't laugh, but it's like putting a chicken in a cockfight.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
It really is. And so anyway, let's skip off of that. So, one thing I remember, Matt, you remember when we were kids playing YAL football?
I do.
So
we were on the same team one time.
I think it was the Packers, wasn't it? The Village 7 Packers.
Yep.
Yeah. And I remember back then I used to feel bad because we didn't have any money when we were kids, man. We were fucking dirt poor. And I remember going to practice and I had an old Kelly helmet. Remember those?
Yep.
Back then you had Kelly and you had Rydell.
Rydell.
So I had an old Kelly helmet which just had the one little mask across the front of it with the two little bars in it. Everybody else had the big Rydell with the big face mask and shit on it. So one of the kids on the team, we used to call him Dynamite. He was our running back, little short, stocky fucker that just would blow through a line like nobody's business. And he came to me. He's like, "Hey, Ron, I used to have that same helmet." He goes, "I have this really cool thing. It's called a T-bar, and it had a little T-bar in the center of it." I thought that was the coolest fucking thing ever when I was a kid. Man, I'm like, I got a fucking T-bar for my helmet. So and then just to see the progression of it. My point being is to see the progression of where uniforms are at now and performance equipment and safety equipment, and looking at the new helmets that these guys wear today. Half time, I'm like, what the hell is that? What do they have on there?
Yeah.
Because everything nowadays is all technology based, and it's shit that when we were kids we couldn't even imagine having.
Right. I remember you were the quarterback, and so I think maybe face mask was actually pretty good for you.
I could see.
But I think back then we didn't really care about the did I have the most up to the best helmet or
I
pads.
gave two shits less, man.
We were just happy to play. Get on the field.
And I remember those days coming home from practice and stuff, and this will bring everything rushing back to me right now. Walking in the house and there being a plate of food in the oven that the family had eaten previously, and I'd come home and take my pads off, get cleaned up, and I'd go take that plate out of the oven and eat it. It's just it's shit like that just that's why I like doing this with you guys, because it's the things that brings all that shit. But there's times, man, I don't know if you watched a couple of podcasts ago, I literally broke down in fucking tears telling the story to Mike, and that's how emotionally attached I am to this shit.
Yeah.
I forgot about the plate full of food, to be honest with you.
Dude.
But I do remember. I remember coming home and mom, or sometimes even dad, would have just put some food on a plate, stuck it in the oven, and you pulled out when you got home.
Mike, you and I talk about dad a lot. I'm going to tell you a story. As a matter of fact, Matt, I think it was when you and I were playing on the same team together. We were at what's that park by the Olympic Training Center?
Memorial
Park. That's where we used to play our games there. And I remember playing a game there. And again, I was quarterback, and then we were just having a shitty game. And some guy on the same team's dad was just talking mad shit. And dad, Archie, straight called him out in the parking lot.
Shocker.
Yeah. He's like, keep talking shit about my kid and we can just go out in the parking lot. And I remember like halfway through the game looking over, I'm like, I wonder where dad's going. So yeah, dad didn't fuck around. That's about point blank there.
Nope. Dad, I think for a couple of seasons painted our helmets.
He did.
He for like the teams.
I think we've done that our year too.
Yeah.
Now that I'm thinking,
I thought maybe he might have painted your guys's.
I think he did.
Yellow.
I remember seeing him in your guys' garage there.
Yeah. Because I think we taped them off and sanded them.
He painted helmets, cars, trucks.
Telling you, I wish I were that good. Oh, here we go.
Screw Earl Scheib.
best team uniform is any girls.
Oh yeah.
Dude, that is my new favorite. My new favorite TikTok
Jubal!
watching is the girls volleyball. Jubal, love you, man.
Jubal! I'm proud of you, brother.
I mean, not that I was looking.
Me neither.
There's an episode of The Simpsons where he tells Marge, "Okay, I've watched volleyball. Let's go to bed." Come on, Marge. Just watch volleyball. We shouldn't laugh because now we're just sort of, contradicting ourselves.
Yeah,
we're
too
trying to
much.
stand up.
Yeah.
It's, whoops. Well,
Okay,
that's kind of
pedal back.
well, as they say, we'll edit it in post.
Yeah, right. Too bad
Right.
it's live.
We ain't editing it.
The internet never forgets.
We would just leave it the way it is.
That's why.
But yeah,
you know,
sports then versus now. I'd say, uniforms are one thing. Money, obviously, clearly, for me is the biggest difference. But I would rank up there the real want and desire to play. I mean, you get guys that play now and retire in 3 or 4 years. Shit, you had guys that played back in the day, played for 10, 12, 15 years.
didn't have shit.
Who am I thinking of? George Blanda? Well, didn't he start off as a QB and ended up as a kicker just because he wanted to keep playing?
Possibly.
Yeah, the name sounds familiar.
Yeah.
I think Blanda was that. And then so far as athletes from, the hood back in the day, wasn't necessarily our hood. And I think we're only a couple of years apart. But where Carolyn went to high school, Wasson has a very prominent graduate, Richard the Goose Gossage.
Oh yeah.
Wow. Pitcher.
Yep. He went there. That's really so far as athletes. That's all I could think of. But you were talking UFC earlier. When I first got to Amarillo in 1996, I was contacted by a guy by the name of Steve Nelson, and Steve and Evan Tanner had been.
Tanner. There's a name.
Yeah, had been. They're from here. In fact, I'll tell you, Steve Nelson. You know who his dad is? Mr. Wrestling.
Oh, really?
His mom was the fabulous Moolah.
Yeah.
Wrestling was big down here. Now, do you guys remember when we were kids? Matt, I don't know if you went with us at all, but Daddy would haul our stupid asses down
Absolutely.
to the hall
To the arena, watch those stupid wrestling matches. Absolutely.
Because Dad was into that shit. Well, here I moved to a city where a lot of the shop that's outside my house here, before the dragsters were being built out there, this is where they came to practice. The Funk Brothers, Ricky Romero,
Terry Funk.
They're all hung out here. So it's kind of cool. We just lost Terry Funk late last year, but so I move here. Well, Steve Nelson calls the station one day and he says, "Hey, this is Steve Nelson. Can Evan Tanner and I come by and talk to you about what we call shoot fighting?" Well, I don't know these guys. And I thought, shoot fighting. And so he comes over and we visit. And I finally said, "Look, I don't know what this is. It sounds like something that you guys do in a back alley after about 12 o'clock at night. And I don't really want my call letters attached to it." And bless his heart, Steve Nelson just stayed on me for days and days. And so finally, I think I agreed, and he's looking for sponsorship. So I said, okay, well, we'll see about maybe do some shirts or something. Well, I didn't know what shoot fighting was. Shoot fighting basically was what we now know as cage fighting, mixed martial arts, and which I love, by the way. Evan Tanner, when you talk about UFC, he was one of their first prominent fighters.
Yep.
Yeah.
One of the founding members. Absolutely.
Yep. And so that's I do take some pride in that. Amarillo's got that deep of a history when it comes to that kind of stuff. Terry Funk, I knew Terry, good guy, funny, but just kind of a perfectionist in some ways. We did at H&H, we did most of his shirts for him. his Funk You and other shirts. We did those for him. But yeah, he would come in sometimes, just give me a ration of shit. It was funny. Then he'd go, Michael, I'm just kidding with you. Well, stop that, man. I couldn't
hurt
tell
my
when he was being-
feelings.
I couldn't tell. Yeah, well, I couldn't tell when he was being serious or just sort of farting around.
Being as we're on sports, Matt, especially since you being in Colorado, I'm sure you can see what's this over my shoulder right here, right? Because you know who's playing tonight in Colorado, don't you?
Oh, is it?
Go Knights, go bitches! That's
and he's
right.
always repping. He's always repping Knights, baby, repping Knights.
One time I took my youngest son's helmet and stuck a flat basketball on the helmet and expanded the ball to stretch out the helmet to fit his head. Well, I guess it's always better than hitting your kid in the head.
Jubal.
Jubal,
Really...
we need to go drinking, you and I.
Now, remember, I told you about Jubal. Jubal is one of the, I don't mind telling you, I love him. We've known Jubal for 20 years, and he is by far one of the coolest cats that's ever crossed my path. Our kids raced together. That's how we got to know each other, is through racing. Jubal has been one of my listeners in the past, and yeah, just all kind of good people. Hey, Jubal, do you still have your Camaro, by the way? He also has one of the smoothest 69 Camaros on the planet.
Nice.
Yeah.
Love
Smooth as silk,
Very-
baby. Still has it.
So we're 32 minutes in. I want to give the next couple of minutes to my favorite cousin, Matt.
Whoa.
I want to give you the floor, and I want you just.
What are you going to tell the other cousins?
I know.
Yeah, I'll lie. I want to give you the floor, man. I want you to talk about for the next few minutes anything that comes to your heart or your mind about when we were younger, when we were kids, growing up, things that you remember. Just take a few minutes and vent it out, man.
Okay. Well, what I really remember, and obviously you guys have mentioned the dirt clot fights. I remember that, and I think that kind of helped toughen me up. But my two older brothers helped me toughen up that. But what I really remember is how awesome it was when you make that turn off of South Carefree onto Oro Blanco.
Mm-hmm.
Your guys' house, and I'd always get excited because I knew that, hey, the family is there. You can't see it now because
all shit's going down.
Trees
All
are
the trees.
Yeah.
Once you make that turn onto Oro Blanco, I could see it. And I remember spending the night over there. I really remember one time Uncle Arch had made steaks, and I was having a hard time finishing it, and he's like, "You ain't gonna let that steak get the better of you, are you?" and because,
Hey, did he throw in a boy in there?
I haven't been. I mean, that was the fullest I'd ever been at the time in my life because I didn't want to let him down. I was like,
I can see him. You know that steak at the better, are you, boy?
no, yeah,
That's
what he said.
awesome.
Like, man, I'm a man.
Watch what I can do, Uncle Arch.
Yeah, I remember hanging off the deck, and Ben would get that, and we would hang
Chasing
off,
the dog chasing us.
and he'd come chasing us, and we'd jump the fence over there.
And what happened one time?
Hours that dog would never tire out.
And what happened?
Huh?
And what happened?
About
We did that so many times. The one of the times the dog cleared the fucking fence.
Yep,
We both were like, "Oh shit,
Ben?
you're gonna kill us!"
Oh my!
Now the dog knows how to jump over the fence.
yeah.
Wow! I didn't know he had it in him.
Oh, he straight cleared the fence.
Yeah.
Whew.
Ben was bad. But
Yikes!
because your dad and Uncle Arch is such a prominent role on this, I remember him being a father figure in my life. And so when you guys talk about him, it kind of warms my heart that we're keeping his memory alive.
Amen.
Amen.
He influenced me as a young man. because I didn't have a man in my life at that point. So I was so thankful that I had that other part of a male role model, because my mom busted her ass. And that too, my mom busted her ass raising 3 boys.
Yep.
But she couldn't have done that alone, and because of the family that we had at that time, and still today, we're still together, and I think they're all down up in heaven, smiling down on us right now.
Oh, you better believe it, man.
Yeah,
Right now they're looking down going,
you'd be hard pressed to find any young man in our neighborhood or family that wasn't affected by Dad.
Nope.
Yep.
Nope. It was when we were in the springs after Daddy passed, and I think we were at a bar or something, and to hear Chad and Kenny, you know,
we were at O'Furry's.
Say what they said about Dad is, you know, anytime he came out and yelled, you know, Michael, Don, Ronnie,
yep,
they all knew it was time to go in. Yeah. And I told somebody the other day, I said, look, you know, Daddy had been gone for 4 years, and I'm going to tell you something. The man still scares the hell out of me.
Amen.
You know, when I'm doing something wrong, when I'm fucking up, I know Dad's looking at me, and, you know, or even we were talking at the beginning of this podcast or before we went on, anytime I'm feeling down, for whatever reason, and yes, I do have those moments. I can feel Dad. Boy, pull yourself up by your own bootstraps. What's your problem? Out in the shop, I get frustrated. I can't do this. I can feel him. Son, put it down. Go do something else. Come back and do this later. Yeah. So it was, you know, but I really love what you just shared about Daddy.
Amen.
Roger and Dave feel the same thing way too. They
well, see, and just so everybody knows, Roger and Dave are our other 2 cousins. It's Matt's brothers. So when Ronnie has said my favorite cousin, I don't know. He might only have you know, 1 whole leg left, but I think Roger could probably kick our ass.
Probably. So I want to say real quick, Jubal, I had the same car, 68 RSS Z28. I had a Pat Musey 555 big block, 16-inch mini tubbed rear end, full roll cage, and it was spec'd out at about 980 horsepower.
I had an El Camino once, and it had an engine, and it started, and it ran.
So, Matt, I want to tell Matt a couple of things, man, just because I've been waiting for you to get on here, man. And I think, you know, as much as Mike and I are brothers, you and I were so close in age when we were younger, and still today, but we were younger. Just you and I spent a lot of time together, and I think the world of you. And for those of you that don't know that are watching, Matt is retired military, did 20 plus years in the military, and God love him for that. 25 years. So thank you so much for that. And but, you know, I have so many vivid memories of the things that we used to do as kids, and most of them involve you in one way, shape, or another. And again, I can't tell the story of the Kawasaki Duckster without talking about you. We had like 3 segments of it. And
should I leave?
I think 2 of those segments were about you. but you know what? It was nice having you to grow up with, you know, and the segue into this is that's why we're doing this right here is so other families can see that the importance of growing up around a family and having that camaraderie with each other. So love you, man.
I like
if I can, I want to since you said such good things about Dad, I want to, and I'm going to tear up here. Your mother, you said it yourself, busted her ass raising 3 boys. At times, she was raising 4 or 5 because we would come over to your house or over to the apartment. And not only did Dad scare me, Aunt Linda oftentimes would scare the hell out of me.
Scared the living shit out of me.
I knew Aunt Linda would kick my ass if I, you know. But here's how cool it is, and I've never shared this with anybody. I got 2 quick ones for you. Do you remember the little Toyota Corolla you guys had when you were kids? Yeah.
Of course.
One of my first days where I was able to drive, Aunt Linda told me, "Come pick up my car. You can use it." Oh, cool. What your mother doesn't know is where we ended up. I don't even know who I had with me. I can't remember who I was dating. But
Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
we ended up in Woodland Park, but on the way back, it was a standard transmission. So on the way back, right around Green Mountain Falls, I thought, I wonder how far I could coast if I took this out of gear. I coasted that little car without applying the brakes from Green Mountain Falls all the way down to just about Nevada Avenue. We hit every green light, and we got down to Nevada Avenue without ever touching the brakes. It was wicked cool, man. But if Aunt Linda would have ever seen, I mean, I thought we were taking some of those curves on two wheels, and all I could envision, if you don't know what I'm talking about, that's a 14-15% grade coming down.
Spots, yeah.
And so there were a couple of corners where I thought, was that a hubcap? Am I on two wheels? The other one was we were over at your apartment. You guys were living in I'm trying to over by Janetell Junior High. Is that right?
Emerson, yeah.
Emerson. And I think we had been over by the car dealership, Academy Ford maybe, but it was off Academy. And I think we had been throwing rocks or something.
What?
Well, somehow somebody had contacted your mom. I don't know how it worked, but we got back to the apartment, and Aunt Linda was not too happy, and she had a belt, and I thought, oh sweet Lord, she's going to kill us. And I have to tell you, I didn't get it. David got his ass kicked. David got whipped so bad. I thought, I don't want that happening to me, so I'm shutting my mouth. But yeah, we'd been up by the boulevard, and I don't even know if it was throwing rocks. I think it's because we were that close to Academy. And for those that might be watching, if you don't know, Academy Boulevard is it's like a miniature highway these days.
Like a highway, yeah.
Back then, we weren't supposed to be that close, but we were over there playing. We didn't know any better. But by the time we got home, somehow Aunt Linda knew, and I thought, oh, good Lord. But David, bless his heart, he got it. And I was just thinking, oh, thank you, God, that it's him and not me. Sorry, Dave.
He's the oldest. He took the bulk of those.
Well, so did somebody. So did the oldest on the other side of the family.
Yeah.
Oh, stop it.
Yeah.
Stop it. So look, I know we're going long, and I knew it was going to go long, but I have to tell this because you brought up the story about the Toyota Corolla. So Matt, do you remember when your mom was teaching you how to drive that car?
Yeah.
Yeah. You were in the driver's seat. Your mom was in the passenger seat, and there was me and I think Roger in the back seat. And we're out on this dirt road somewhere, and Matt's in the car. And mind you, for those of you that don't know what a manual transmission is, you actually have to shift the fucking thing. So Matt's in the car, and he's driving, and he can't figure out where the next gear is. He's like this, trying to find the gear, but at the same time, we all looked up, we're like, oh, shit. He's like damn near ready to drive off a damn cliff. Do you remember this?
I do remember that. I've had a few instances in my young driving career, and since Rich is on, I'd be remiss to tell my favorite story. So Rich and I, so after the Toyota, she got a Ford Topaz.
I remember.
Blue one.
That was at Scenic Circle.
Yeah, when we were on Scenic. And so I had just gotten my license. So it's not too far after me looking down at the gear shift. So I just got my license, and me and Rich were over at Lisa's house, and we were watching Top Gun.
Oh, fuck.
So I feel the need.
And when we leave, so there's two ways you can get back to the fourplex. You can either take the left from Lisa's house and just kind of wind around. I take the right. And I go to the top of Scenic, and I turn it around, and Rich is like, what the hell are you doing? And I stop, and I go, I feel the need for speed. And I hit that, and I'm flying down Scenic. It it had just kind of rained. And so I take the curve, and it's the first time the back end had ever slid on me. So I didn't know what the fuck to do. And so I slide all the way across the street, and I hit the curb almost perpendicular.
Oh,
and
no.
we're up on the curb, and I see smoke and everything else like that. And Rich is holding his head because when we hit, he went, and he hit his head.
Oh shit!
And so we get our wits about us, and I'm like, well, shit, I'm just gonna throw it in reverse, roll off the curb, and go home like nothing happened.
Yeah. Okay.
And so I throw it in reverse, and I'm
That'll
going,
work.
and it won't move. Me and Rich get out of the car, and the tires are flat, and
Oh my.
broke both axles.
I do remember that story.
So if
Wow.
you think about how my mom was, and we were only 2 blocks away, and so now I have to walk home and tell her I wrecked her car.
Tell her I felt the need for speed.
Never got to, unfortunately, well, fortunately for me, she never got to hear that story.
Oh yeah, she did. She's hearing it now, smart ass.
So, but to my mom's credit, when so I had all this nervous energy in me, and so I run home, and because I'm nervous because I have to tell my mom, Rich is behind me, and I walk in the door, and I'm like out of breath, and I'm like, I wrecked your car, and I swear to God, the first question out of her mouth is, where is Rich? So that just, that speaks
Sure.
to her. I wasn't worried about the car or anything else like that until that, but she wanted to make sure that we were both okay.
Rich is okay. I'm whooping your ass.
And yet, no, because I said it was raining, and I gave her the sob story, and and she was cool about it. She called the insurance, everything.
Matt.
But never feel the need.
Yep. If you ever feel it, don't do it, man.
Yeah,
Just
and
don't
Rich, she was more concerned about us.
Yeah.
It really was.
Well,
She
you
was-
know, hey,
that's parenting, man.
Yep.
that's exactly. I mean, Daddy did that to us. I mean, I would do something, just bad that probably should have killed me or whatever. And would Dad get pissed? Yeah, but the initial reaction was, "Are you okay?"
I remember Mom telling me a story. I got in a really bad car accident. I was probably, I don't know, I was young. I don't know what I was. I was young. Got in a real bad car accident. Got taken to the hospital in the ambulance. And Mom told me, because when I came to, they asked me, the doctor's like, you know what hospital you're in? I named off like 2 or 3. They're like, nope, nope, nope. And all I remember is Mom showing up and telling me, your father ran every stoplight and every stop sign to get to this hospispittal.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's parenting.
It's parenting. I agree.
Any one of us would do it for our kids, man. But you don't think about that when you're in that situation.
Yeah.
But now as adults and as parents, you definitely think about it.
I know that now.
Yeah, you know it now. But back then, your fear overrides your common sense.
Yep.
Mom's going to kill me.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna wrap this up. We're 48 minutes, man. But dude, Matt, pleasure, brother. Love you so much.
I love you guys too.
Mike, as always,
Love you, bro,
thank
cuz.
so much. And
Too.
hopefully, if you guys watch this afterwards, please, you can still make comments. You can still let us know what you think about the show, and hopefully join us next time. And Matt, we definitely look forward to having you again.
I'll do it again.
Right on. Love you guys.
Had a good
All right.
time.
All right.
Love you guys.
Goodbye.